Are we any further with restoring the Snyderverse? Absolutely not. Not because I don't want it to happen, because I love the Snyderverse. I love Zack Snyder. But I think someone has to be honest with the Snyderverse fans and explain what's actually going on instead of people adding two and two together and getting 2 billion. Because the last video I uploaded, I was watching the premiere alongside all of you, as I always do, and I noticed one fan kind of getting a bit agitated with me, saying if Black Adam is successful, there's a chance for The Rock to be DC Studios president. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but what's going to happen is if Black Adam makes $1 billion, I don't know if that's a possibility, but if the film does, then of course there's going to be more Black Adam projects greenlit, and that character and the Justice Society of America will become a huge part and play a huge role in the future of the DC Extended Universe. Now, there is no question that Ben Affleck now will continue to be the DCEU's Batman, and Henry Cavill looks like to be returning as the DCEU's Superman. That's great. Now, Zack Snyder casted these people. Now, Snyderverse fans have rightly said, just because we're keeping and bringing back all these Snyderverse actors in these iconic roles doesn't make that the restoration of the Snyderverse. It doesn't mean the Snyderverse has been restored. No Snyder, no Snyderverse. You are absolutely spot on. So at this moment in time, no decisions are being made or considered to restore the Snyderverse. That's not what I want. I'm just telling you the facts. Let me explain to you the very reason that Affleck is going to remain as Batman and Cavill is returning as Superman. We have a ready-made world, and David Zaslav can see that. We've got a living and breathing franchise. Why not expand on it? Why not keep the original actors that were cast? That's why Cavill's coming back. That's why Affleck will remain as Batman. And that's why Hamada's multiverse strategy has been cancelled, because it makes sense. It makes sense not to delete Cavill as Superman and not to delete Affleck as Batman. These are very popular actors in these very iconic roles, and they want to continue them in these roles. So Affleck remaining as Batman and Cavill, Henry Cavill returning as Superman is about consistency. It is not about restoring the Snyderverse. That's why these decisions have been made by David Zaslav. This means there's a very big chance that the DC Extended Universe, as it is, will continue, but on a better footing. We've also had confirmation that Blue Beetle will not be going the same way as Batgirl, because Zaslav saved it and made sure it would be run through the cinematic theatrical system and not HBO Max. He doesn't want any DC content on HBO Max. Wouldn't surprise me if the Green Lantern HBO Max show ends up being a movie over through the theatrical cinematic system. We're already hearing rumours about a 7-movie Green Lantern plan, which is also very, very exciting. So there are no discussions to restore the Snyderverse right now, but as ever, Zack and Deb will remain as executive producers on every single project because they worked on the original development of this franchise, and that's great. I repeat, I would want nothing more than the restoration of the Snyderverse. You can't even separate the Snyderverse into something else because we're keeping these original characters. So how can you all of a sudden have Gal, Jason, Henry, Ben, and even Ray Fisher, because I'm sure Ray Fisher will return as Cyborg now because there's no issue there. There's no Walter Hamada from October. I expect that to be announced in the next few months for sure. That's also very good news. It's good that Henry Cavill's returning as Superman. It's great that Ben Affleck remains as Batman. These are great things, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with Ezra Miller going forward as the Flash. None of this means we're getting the Snyderverse restored. I've been running this channel since 2018. I'm very direct. I could very easily be posting clickbait, shitty, Mike Zero kind of videos to actually make me a successful channel. This is no way in any comprehension a successful channel. But they're not my motivations. I like talking about DC live action, the DCEU and entertainment in general. It's my passion. And I love updating you with DC news. That's great. And I've enjoyed Snyder's DCEU movies. But there's no point me lying to you, because if I lie to you, I'm going to be found out later on. So I have to draw a line in the fucking sand here. And I know I waive the risk of losing subscribers who are Snyderverse fans by me saying this. But someone has to say to you, just because we're keeping Affleck as Batman, just because Cavil's returning, doesn't mean it's an automatic restoration of the Snyderverse. It doesn't mean you should stop hashtagging Restore the Snyderverse and make the Batfleck movie. I support you. I support the Snyderverse. I want to see it restored. That would be great. Will it? Nobody knows. Nobody can tell you that. Nobody knows. Now, some of you will say, well, Alan Horn's back. He brought Zack to WB. Yes, he did. Because it made sense to allow Zack to make 300. And Zack did a great job with 300 and made the studio a hell of a lot of money. It was very successful. There's one thing for Zack to make 300 and then run the DC Extended Universe. That's a huge thing to do. Bring in an auteur that won't attract the mainstream audience. We saw the results of that franchise. A beautifully made, shot franchise. 3 beautiful DC Extended Universe movies. Nobody can say any different. They will, but I like what he did. But at this moment in time, Zack's very, very busy. That's one thing to remember. Doesn't mean he can't return. If they want him to return, Zack would bite their hands off. He would love to make more DC Snyderverse content. And we and I would absolutely love that to happen. I have to keep on saying this to you with very clear vocals so you understand that I'm not a hater. But keeping the original cast has nothing to do with restoring the Snyderverse. It's about fixing the DCEU, making it a constructive, consistent franchise by keeping these actors, yes, even Ezra Miller, after everything he's done. If they can turn his situation around, they will also keep him as the Flash, because it's consistency, everyone, and they don't want to replace him because he's been the Flash since day one. He's been the Flash since BVS, right? And we saw him cameo in the first Suicide Squad and Peacemaker as well. It makes sense to keep him, and hopefully we can move away from his ungentlemanly behaviour, right? Even though me saying ungentlemanly is actually wrong because of how he identifies. I'm sorry, Ezra, I'm only human. So this is where we are. Right now, unfortunately for the people who want it, that's me included, there are no plans to restore the Snyderverse. You can change that. Going down the road, that could change very, very easily. But I thought it was so important so you understand. When I say The Rock has potential of becoming a good DC Studios president, I say it because he has the ability to do so. And he's going around now promoting his movie the right way. And I think people will like that movie. But he has nothing to do with the restoration of the Snyderverse, of course. If he became president of DC Studios, that would change. But the thing is here, this is me just speaking potentially. It doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. I'm just saying, if the Black Adam movie makes money, then clearly he gets a bigger, hold over the franchise and the property. That only makes sense. Also, when people say to me, yeah, but they brought in Alan Horn, giving The Rock more power doesn't make sense. If his movie makes $1 billion or close to $1 billion, of course he's going to have more control. But control over his Black Adam franchise, which is a part of the DC Extended Universe. It doesn't necessarily automatically mean that he has control over the whole franchise. I must be clear about that as well. I am very hyped for Black Adam. I want to apologise to anyone I upset by being hyped about Black Adam. It doesn't mean I'm suddenly turning my back on Restore the Snyderverse. It means I'm a fucking DC fan and I'm getting a live action JSA for the first time in a DC movie. I'm getting Black Adam for the first time in a DC live action movie. I want this movie to be something that all of you can enjoy. I've enjoyed the test screening. Now I want to see if it's as good of a movie as it is a tester, because those are two different things. So this is where we are right now, everyone. Yes, we're keeping the original, the OG DC Extended Universe cast. That can be a good thing. We're dispersing of some directors like Patty Jenkins. I think we will keep David F. Sandberg. He made a great first movie, and I'm hearing he's made a great second movie. James Wan, at this moment in time, stays for this movie, but he's talked about moving on after this movie, but maybe he can be convinced to do more because he's a bloody good director. Mostly, we've got really good creatives making these movies, should I say. And of course, it's sad what happened to Zack, and that he deserves to be brought back and the Snyderverse to be restored in some kind of constructive way, which doesn't mess around with their 10-year plan, with Zaslav's 10-year plan. This is a long journey. It's going to be a long 10-year plan. It's looking like most of us were wrong when we were talking about the cancellation of the DC Extended Universe, but that can change as well. Black Adam has to be successful. There's no debate. The Flash movie has to be successful. Shazam has to be successful, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and Blue Beetle all have to be successful. That's 5 movies that can have no more excuses. There is no more a pandemic to have those excuses. These films must be great. These films must do really well in the global box office. And if they don't, then Zaslav will think again about starting a brand new DC Extended Universe. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again soon in the next video. Until we see each other again. Goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.